So if you look on D2L for this section, we've got lots of things there. It's always worthwhile, I think, keep yourself up to date by the course syllabus. I think just looking back on that, what happened in the last lesson, and you'll see that in that video down there, is that we did talk about certain dates for assignments and stuff, maybe. We certainly talked about the breakdown of the marks. So, you know, there's a 30% exam, there's a couple of tests, and there's some quizzes, and there's a bunch of assignments and stuff. Now, the lab that we're doing today, that hasn't really been assigned much marks, but it's something to look at. And so any one of these blue things, they're a link. And so we can follow that link. So for example, if I open up the lab link, you have the option of downloading any of these things if you want. So you can go with our 3 little dots and you can do a download to your computer at home or the computer that you're working on here at the college. Now this little assignment here, that's what we're going to work on today a bit. And I brought it for you, and I have printed it off so that you can do it like this, because when I read the notes by the course coordinator, the issue that was highlighted is that students can learn, well, not just students, anybody can learn better by writing things down, that there's something that happens between the brain and the fingers, apparently, that when you write things down, that helps you to remember them. Now, we don't do that a lot in the 2020s, and that's because we use a lot of computer devices, right? And so how much writing do you do? So I'm not going to ask you to do that throughout the course. Well, I'm only here for 3 weeks, right? But certainly for this first exercise, let's just try that. We're going to write our answers. Now, I will tell you there's a little sneak hack on this, is if you look in the content for week 1, you will find that there's some answers to those. So, I mean, it's not like you have to search too much. So, I mean, you could go and look at the answers, I suppose, and write them down verbatim, but it would be better if you put it into your own words. So part of that learning from the hand to the brain kind of thing, also if you put it in your own words. So when I say put it into your own words, you would probably want to shorten it a lot, right? So if it's like 10 words, you could make it 5 words. That's a really, really good learning technique. It's something that I used all my time at university. I used that when there's some factual stuff that I had to learn. I would look at it, okay, so how can I shorten that? And rather than, you know, word for word, that you won't memorize it word for word. But if you can shorten it, then you've had to think about it, and then you sort of got it. Now, I'm not saying that you have to memorize these things. No, it's not like that. But they're just ideas that you should at least be aware of, okay? So there is some answers there in one of the documents. I'm sure that you can find it on that. If you go to your content in your D2L and sort of look through, you'll see the lab assignment, and you'll see something there about definitions, answers or something like that. Or you could use Google, or you could just know Google. So when I say use Google, we are a university now. We used to be a college, but now we're a university. And universities tend to not sort of be too excited about people using Google for research, because Google is, how can I say it? The things that are put onto the internet are not verified, right? They haven't been reviewed. And so in a university setting, when we do research, we talk a lot about peer-reviewed articles, etc. Peer-reviewed articles, it would be like a journal article. So if you're a scientist or an engineer, or anybody's doing any kind of research like that, when you have some good results that you would, could be for a dissertation, for a degree, but perhaps after you've completed your degree, you still do a lot of research, you would need to publish that in a peer-reviewed journal. And so what would happen there is you would put your research, which would be a topic, all of the research that you did and your findings, and then other people would look at it and they would say, well, that seems to be okay or not. And if they thought it was all right, then they would publish that in a journal article. Then other researchers would be able to go to the journal article and use that as a basis for some other research that they might want to do. So that's kind of the way we do it in academics, and it's a very sort of strict review process. But that's not the internet, right? So, I mean, that's the thing, right? So you want to find the answer to something, you go to the internet. You know, all kinds of sort of random and sketchy people put stuff on the internet. And so you might go there and you find something, you think it's a good answer, but it might be actually rubbish, right? All right, so you do have so first thing you can use is you can use your radar. You know, it's like, this doesn't look too right. You know what I mean? It's just your common sense, I suppose, to sort of filter through the stuff that you find on the internet. But the other thing that you can do is you can actually use internet searches, which will get you to good materials. So for example, Google has a thing called Google Scholar. The universities, and so here through the library, you'll find that they'll have a search tool which only looks at research articles that have been published. And so you go to the library here and ask them what the tool is. Now, the reason why I say that you should ask them what their search tool is, because they're not free, except they're free to the university, right? So each university will choose you have to subscribe. So, I mean, you have to go through to the library and ask them, well, how can I do my searching? And they'll set you up with an account. But it's not just open to random people out there. Those journals, it's not free to, the work that they do is costly. And so they have to be compensated. Somebody has to pay them. And so who typically pays them, or universities pay them through a subscription service, but they're not going to make that open to everybody like Google. But then on the other hand, you're going to have sort of quality stuff. So again, so you do the Google Scholar search and it'll bring you to some nice article, and it'll just describe the article. It'll be what we call the abstract, which will tell you what's in this article, but it won't give you the whole article, right? Google search won't give you the whole article, because that article is going to be behind a paywall. You could buy it for like $30 at a time, or you could go to the university library and use their search tool, which you would have access to through your student number, and then you could get that article possibly for free. Does that make sense? All right, so for our just, you know, scratching the surface kind of research, which is what we're doing. It's not deep dive stuff. You guys aren't doing big projects. Google's okay, and definitely Google Scholar's all right. But I mean, if you really want to get into, you want to verify your information, you need to look at other sources. So that's that. Let's go and have a look at, where did we finish with our lecture last time? That would be, we did the introductory thing. And so it would be this one. And I think we just about finished this lecture as well. I think we just about finished it. So I'll just quickly review it. And when I say quickly, I mean, I'm going to skip over that pretty quick. Yeah, let's get the PowerPoint going here. Actually, I'm not on the camera because what you see is what's going to be on the video. So I should put on my reading glasses, right? All right, so last time we talked a little bit about this. I hope all of this is familiar to you. The previous slide just said that internet penetration is 99% in Qatar. Yeah, we said that, right? Everybody knows that they have internet. These things here, this is like a 1980s picture of a computer that somebody would have in their house, what we'd call a desktop computer, but sometimes they sat underneath the desk. So if you have a computer like that at home, you don't, do you? But you might have a system unit at home, like my daughter. She's 16. She asked me to buy her one of these, right? Now, everybody in our house has got a laptop. And she's like, can you buy me a system unit? And I'm like, sorry. And I'm like, she said, can you buy me a desktop computer? And I'm like, why do you need a desktop computer? You know, she's got Asus laptop with, 16 gig of RAM and all the rest of it. I thought it's okay. You know what I mean? And she said, oh, well, it's cheaper to get more power with a desktop computer than you get for a laptop. You can swap the parts in and out, and and I can have a faster one and I'll build it myself. And I'm like, okay, seems like you got an idea, and that would be right. So gamers, they're going to have these, right? And who else needs it? Hardly anybody, I think. You could do it with a laptop, but you like a bigger screen, right? So that's the other thing. You have a big screen. So that's generally been the thing with a systems unit box. It's easier to put new components in and out of it. You have slots where you can add extra memory. What I mean is you can do that with a laptop, but it's probably you want a technician to do it, right? Adding extra memory and all that kind of stuff. But with these ones here, they're quite easy to do it, right? You can just take the metal thing off and everything's there. You can see it, and you can add components. So that's what you've got under your desks are these units here. Of course, the screen that we use now is much more modern. We don't use these. That technology, that's like 1950s technology, but it stuck around for a while. Nobody's using it anymore. We call it CRT, cathode ray tube. What it was is you shot electrons from the back of the tube to the front of the tube, and you got this light. Now we don't do that. We do things that use a lot less electricity. LED screens, plasma, LED screens is what we're using. There it just says that computers are everywhere. Yes, this is a computer. I mean, so my phone is a computer, but also my watch is a computer. And it might just look kind of ordinary. That's a Garmin watch. It's got a GPS in it. It measures my heartbeat. It measures the steps that I take. It measures, because it's got a GPS, it measures everywhere I go. So I use it when I go in the desert riding on motorcycles. Then at the end I can see, well, how much energy did I use? Where did I go? What did I do? A lot of athlete type people use watches like that. You can set it up and it'll give you your lap time, right? So it'll know that you're doing laps, and so you can see how fast you're going on your laps. That's on your watch. Now that's connected to your phone through a Bluetooth connection. Yeah, I just like we did the getting to know me thing. There's a few people that are here that weren't here last time. Maybe we could do it with them, the ones that weren't here. So people that weren't here last time, what we did was we said, who am I and what am I interested in? And yeah, what's my degree? So Rizan, tell us, what's your degree? What are you interested in?
I'm majoring in banking and financial technology. My first year.
So I don't know if this is going to pick up on the video. So should I pause the video, or should I shout, or should I ask you to shout?
I can talk louder.
Yeah, talk loud.
When I'm majoring in banking and financial technology, it's my first year.
Fintech.
Fintech.
So awesome. I mean, that's a wave of the future. Yeah, go for it.
What's the other question?
What are you interested in?
Music.
Music.
Yeah, I play the guitar.
You've got a few musicians. Yeah, actually in the other class too, got a few musicians, some pianists. So we got a guitarist here. So do you any particular genre of music that you like?
Everything.
All right. Yeah, you should talk to Mohammed here. He actually writes music. Maybe he'll write some music for you. Is that right, Mohammed? Yeah. When I asked him what he's interested in, he said music, and he said he writes it. So yeah, we got a few musicians. That's kind of awesome. Okay. Then we've got Jem. Shall we call you Jem? Yeah. Shout. So pick it up on the thing here.
Okay. I'm Jam. I major in accounting, and I'm interested in fitness. Like I can play tennis or I can work out.
You'll live long. That's good. Just keep doing that. Jem's gonna live long, and she's an accountant. My master's degree is in accounting, so I kind of like accounting too. I have a brother who's got a PhD in accounting. But, he teaches at a university of accounting. Okay, so Shahid. Shout. Drawing? Interested in drawing. And what's your degree? Human resources. Good. Yeah, as I say, the human resources, they're the scary people. Yeah. So watch out for her. In the back. What's your name, mate?
My name is Thomas.
Tamer.
I'm studying human social, and I am interested in watching TV most of the time.
Okay, well, I hope it's a good TV package you got. What, OSN or something? Netflix?
Anything, Amazon.
Okay, Amazon Prime. Yeah, we use that. In the back corner, what's your name again? Tasneem. Did you talk about us this last time? Just remind me.
I'm studying HR.
Another scary one. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a musician too, right?
No, I like writing poems.
Oh, the poet. Yeah, the poet writer. Yeah, that's great. But I mean, the poems you could work with Muhammad, who's going to write the music, and then it'll be a poem on and then you can get the guitarist over here, Rizan, to play it.
My name is Ruba. I wasn't here last time.
You're who?
Ruba.
Ruba.
Yes. I'm in digital marketing, but I'm gonna switch majors. That's why I'm taking it.
It sounded to me like liberal arts, but it couldn't have been that.
Digital marketing.
Digital marketing.
Yes.
We got a few people doing digital marketing. I think that's good. Yeah,
We're all changing also. To the changing. That's why
you change. All three of you are changing
Yes.
to
Digital communication and media production.
digital communication instead of and media production, which must be similar to digital marketing, but not quite. Yeah. All right. So did you guys introduce yourselves last time?
I did. It's my first class.
Okay, go for it.
My name is Celine.
Cindy?
No, Celine.
Sydney?
Celine. Celine. Serene.
H-E.
Celine. Celine.
S-E-R-E.
S-E-R-E-N.
Serene.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. I do art most of the time. I do graphic design. posters and
Great.
whatnot.
So your digital productions will be a
Goes
good one.
hand in hand.
Yeah, it would be a good place. That's great. And you'll use a lot of computers. So that's good. So just that, I think it is a good thing to do to see that the broadness of the interests that we have, but they all sort of still come down into wanting to use computers, right? You guys, we use computers. Did you know, just on the computer thing, in the United States now, and in many other places, it's kind of hard to buy a car. Did you know that? Now, I know this exactly because I was in the United States like last week and I had to get a car. And I actually went to car yards, brand new car yards, right? This is like the Toyota dealer. He does not have a new car on the yard. And same with the Ford dealer. No new cars. Oh, I can sell you a 2019 at the same price as a used one with like 40,000 miles on it or something, and sell it to you at the same price as a new one. So why was that? If you're interested, the reason is because of computers. I'm trying to pull this in here, right? Why? Because of computers. All those cars, they have many computer components in them. The chips were unavailable and it had something to do with the COVID lockdowns. But most of those chips were manufactured in Korea and China. And China basically closed down. I don't know if you know, but it's got worse in China. They have big cities there like Shanghai, which are the whole city's on lockdown. And so a lot of trouble. But yeah, there you have empty car lots, imagine, because of computers. Now, another on that, if you're interested, I don't know, I just love this sort of thing. Russia and Iran, but Russia, they haven't been able to get these components either. And so what they've done is they're continuing to do their car manufacturing, but they're just producing cars without computer chips in them. So they have 1990 technology cars that they're producing in Russia. Yeah, maybe that's a good thing. Wow, that's not the right thing to say in a computer class, is it? But it's a good thing to have a car that doesn't have a computer in it. I'll just leave that there. I should have got the dream job, and we have other days where we can get to the dream job and the favorite food. All right, so there's some things that we did talk about last time. And there's a big computer, and we did talk about that last time too. Computers used to be big, then they got small, That's a big computer, right? 1950s computer. You can ask your parents about, you know, the 50 years ago, the only computers were government computers, utilities computers, things like that, right? So the government had a computer, the water and the electrical people, they had a computer, and they print out these receipts, you know, I mean, these bills for you. But nobody else had a computer back in the day. There's a computer from 1980s. You can tell that that computer is a what we called an IBM XT computer. XT, it only had 2 floppy drives. Notice the monochrome screen, CRT. Yeah, the web. So you guys probably got computers like this, right?
Yeah.
That's how I like it. You can carry them around. They don't have as some people, they don't have big screen, but they're okay. Most Qatar households have a computer. Yeah, and a smartphone. Like everybody's got a smartphone. Even kids have smartphones. So yeah, there we. So I don't know if we had this last time, right? This is about where we were, right? So let's go with that. The diagram is a graph, which is a logarithmic scale. What it means by logarithmic scale is it looks straight line, but it's actually incrementing by log 10. Right? What I mean, so it just looks like 3 things here, but this is the difference between 1 and 1,000, and then a million. So you know, a million is 1,000 times 1,000. So this should be off. You know what I mean? This is a logarithmic scale. It should be so high that we can't see it. So when we get up here, right? So this is billions, and this is trillions. And so what we're talking about here is in terms of up the top there. So that mainframe computer was trillions times as big as the whatever it is device that would have that amount of computing on it now, right? So we've gone down by a factor of 10 to the 12. That's huge, right? And then the price has come down as well, and that's because of this wonderful compound. And I mentioned it, I think, before. Silicon dioxide. You may be interested to know that silicon dioxide is like one of the most common compounds on the planet Earth. So your sand is mostly silicon dioxide. Now, I'm going to say something which is a bit not nice now, but so just forgive me for it. Raw sewage is mostly water. Raw sewage is mostly water. You know what I'm saying? But we don't like raw sewage. Sewage, you know, the stuff that goes down your toilet. Yeah, that's mostly water. And sand is mostly silicon dioxide. We couldn't use sand for computers, even though it's mostly made up of the stuff that we want. We have to have very pure silicon dioxide in order to make a computer. And you'll actually see if you do a little bit of searching and look at images where they make silicon chips for computers, they have these clean rooms. And, you know, to get inside the room, you have to put on this white stuff. And yeah, it's kind of like you're protecting yourself from COVID. But what you're protecting yourself is not you. You're protecting the components from dust. From dust. You have to because the components could be contaminated by dust. Anyway, so what we've got is we've got this huge sort of improvement in computing over the years. A lot of it's been because of miniaturization. 2 things: getting smaller and getting cheaper. So your computer that you carry around with you is much more powerful than well, some of the computers on this diagram, and yet you carry it with you in your pocket. That's kind of awesome. Yeah, everybody's got a phone, everybody's got a computer. And so that's the other thing, is we have these computers now that, like your phone or your tablet or your laptop, and they're a multi-purpose device. We use them not for one thing, we use them for everything, right? I mean, so you can program your TV with it. It could be a remote for your TV. You can use it as a GPS to direct you in your car. You can use it to buy things. You can use it to watch movies. You know, you can use it to measure your health, measure where you've gone. So we actually have this general purpose device that sort of grown out of a telecommunications device. So yeah, do you want to do the brainstorming? Can you come up with some other things that we would use a general purpose computer like a phone for, or a laptop, or a tablet? Assignments. So work. Everybody who's working is using a phone. Yeah. Any others? FaceTime. Yeah. Do you mean talking to people like over the phone? So we call it IP telephony, right? But except it's video phones. Yeah. So I use Skype Messenger. You can, so if you got two people that have Messenger, doesn't matter where they are in the world, as long as they're internet connected, they can have a nice long conversation with video. And we're just using the Wi-Fi that we have, right? As long as you've got Wi-Fi, or you could be using 5G or 4G, and you can do that. Yep, great. So telecommunications, we're using our devices for over long distances, video over IP, I guess you'd call that. Any others? Research. Yeah, absolutely. So we had a big discussion at the start here about doing that properly, and we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, both ways of doing it can be found through your internet. Any other things that we would use our computer for? Watching videos. Yeah, so Amazon Prime, Netflix, OSN, Paramount. I mean, they're all there. All that content is on some server somewhere, and you can have access to it. Actually, I was surprised when I was in the US just a couple of weeks ago. Went into Walmart, and they're selling sort of DVDs for like $5, and I'm like, who would buy a DVD? Because I mean, all of those movies, just so I guess some people don't have Netflix, right? Okay, well, yeah, you do have to pay for Netflix. It's not free. But what I mean is, like, the newest laptop computers that you'll buy, they might not even have a DVD drive in them, because who needs it, right? I mean, you just, if you guys are Apple people, what you got is these USB 3 ports. That's it, right? And everything connects by the USB port. And yeah, so and then all of your, all of that type of media is on the cloud somewhere. And maybe you guys have a OneDrive account or something like that. If you have a Microsoft account, you're going to have OneDrive. And so OneDrive is going to give you a cloud storage for all your stuff. And it's big storage, right? You're talking terabytes of storage you can have there for hardly any money. And so you can store movies on there, all your photos. Anyways, those are some other ideas. Anything else that we might use it for? Making art. Yeah. Okay. So Steve Jobs, I don't know if you know about him, but of course he was the person that started the Apple Computer Company. He wasn't really, his passion or his interest or his starting point was not computers. The computer whizzy was Steve Wozniak, his partner. But Steve Jobs, his interest was in art, and that's how he pushed his company. And that's how he got the first Macintosh computer. Was a computer that you could do drawings with, and had nice graphics, nice fonts. All of that were in Apple. It was way above the others. So anybody who wanted to do any graphic work was started off in Mac. So when I first went into a computing office, that would be 1987. And we had one guy that worked in the office that had a Mac, and that's what he was doing. He was doing sort of making drawings, technical drawings with the Mac. Okay, so here's some of the things, and I think we talked about all of these, or most of these. We missed out banking and shopping. Yeah, we can do that over the internet. We got computers all around us, and I mentioned the computers in the car. Internet of Things is a sort of an extension of that. So you got a computer in your car. Imagine you have computers and lots of other things, like in your fridge, connected to your lights, connected to your AC. Those devices could form part of what we call the Internet of Things. That means that you have these small devices anywhere that have an IP address, and therefore can be contacted through the internet. And that's a whole new area of huge development. So the idea there is that you using your smartphone, you can connect to the internet, and then using that, you can drive things in your house, or you can get alerts from things from your house. A lot of people put things in their car. In the United States, there's an issue there. It's not as safe as here. And so there is a lot of sort of car theft. And so people will have
A tracker.
a tracker put into their car. You can put trackers on anything. You can put it on in your clothes. You can put a tracker on your kids. Some people do that, right? If they have young children, they'll put a tracker on them, right? So they get lost in the crowd. Oh, well, we know where they are. We can find them on using our phone. Lots of things like that. Oops, data center. So the data center is really a very, very important part of the modern sort of computer world. And what we're talking about is we're talking about huge buildings. They do use a lot of power, but they're going to have huge servers. Sometimes we actually refer to them as server farms. And here we're referring to it as a data center. That's how we do a lot of our cloud computing. But data center would not just be that. So when I say cloud computing, we mentioned sort of Amazon. Amazon is big in that industry. So as well as selling you stuff, and as well as giving you Prime Video, Amazon runs big data centers that you can run your business in the cloud. So what that means is instead of having your own private data center, you can upload your business onto Amazon's data center, which it's in Ireland or Iceland or something like that. So as long as you've got good trunk communications between there and here, you can do that. And that's really attractive to some businesses because it's a month-by-month payment instead of paying, I don't know, millions of dollars to build a data center yourself and fill it full of computers and air conditioning and all kinds of stuff like that. You can just go and talk to the Amazon people. They'll make a contract with you and your whole business can run on their computers. And it's just going to take up a little bit of space on their computers. And they'll just send you a monthly bill. And they'll take care of the security and everything. So now, having said that, places do have their own data centers. We've got a data center here. And maybe you can go and have a tour someday and go down there, and they end up building 3. There's a data center there, and it's has a bunch of servers in there that are necessary to run like PeopleSoft, etc. here in Doha at the university. This is kind of like so that's an old one, 8 years old. That's a Google data center. And as I said, they tend to put these in places like Ireland and Iceland, which are a bit colder. And now what I mean by that is Doha wouldn't be ideal for a big data center for cloud computing because you need to keep these computers cold. They produce a lot of heat, and heat ruins computers. And so computers need to be cold. And so they need to be in a nice air-conditioned building. If you go to the data center that we have here, you'll see that it's like 15, 16 degrees. It's colder than is comfortable for people because they just need to get the heat out of those computers. Heat is bad for computer components. It's bad for all kinds of devices, but it's bad for computer components. So you have to have a lot of air conditioning. In Iceland, they can have buildings where they just open the windows, right? And then it's cold enough for the computers. Actually, I saw something. It was a video I was watching, I think on Deutsche Welt, which is the German version of like the BBC. But they do it for England. In English, they were talking about a Danish company or a Dutch company, Danish, and what they did is they ran servers. They would install in people's houses little data memory servers, and they'd put that in the house and it'd be on the wall there like a heater, and that's what it would do. It would make heat for the house, and so people got free heat. They just had to put these guys' server in their house. So that's the end of that lesson. The only other thing to look at now, I suppose, let's pause this anyways.